Did you know that the most successful tech ecosystems are like thriving cities? They're bustling with diverse talent, innovative ideas, and collaborative partnerships, all coming together to create bigger than sum of their parts. And just like cities, building and sustaining these ecosystems doesn't happen by accident. It takes strategy, vision, and the right people. So, today, with our panelists, we are going to explore what are the successful components for building and nurturing successful tech ecosystems. Let's get started after a quick round of introductions.
Hi, I'm Valerie Ankoviak. Thank you for inviting me today. In my career in technology, I've worked with ecosystems as diverse as financial services, healthcare, open source software, and industry standards. And in all of those roles, building these partnerships was key to my success. In my current role, I work at My Home, and we work with smart home technology companies to provide feedback and product reviews to help them build their ecosystems. Thank you for inviting me today.
Hello, I'm Ryan Olson, and I have spent the last 20 plus years working in various ecosystems at Intel, but supporting everything from gaming software through value-added resellers to network and cloud and AI. And the whole time, creating these partnerships has been key to the success of the various platforms and solutions that we have available.
Thank you, Ryan. Pleasure to have both you guys on board. So, Valerie, let's start with you. A thriving tech ecosystem often relies on a diverse mix of talent, companies, and solutions. From your experience, how important is diversity within a tech ecosystem, and how does it contribute towards the long term success of the ecosystem?
I think diversity is really key to building an ecosystem. You can't just have one big multinational company to create a thriving ecosystem. You really have to have different perspectives. And that's different perspectives in terms of the size of the company, the type of the company, the type of the solutions, and the different geographical locations to really build a thriving ecosystem. In my current experience, I think smart home is a really great example because smart home is very personal. Things that we bring into our home are very personal. So you really have to have a diverse set of companies building those solutions in order to have a thriving ecosystem. And one of the examples that I would like to share is Samsung has a platform called SmartThings, and they've really made an effort to expand their ecosystem worldwide. They come from a different global perspective, but they recognize they need to have individual companies that can address the unique needs in the home, things like different kinds of climate, different types of homes that people live in, whether it's single family or multi-family residential apartments and condominiums, and different perspectives, different people who live in the home. So really, to create that kind of thriving ecosystem, they need to have a very diverse set of partners and expectations and experiences.
Thank you, Valerie. That's a powerful example. It's clear how diversity in developers, companies, and solutions helps ecosystems like SmartThings adapt to varying local needs and scale globally. Creating that variety really lays the foundation for long term success. Ryan, are there any specific tech ecosystems you feel exemplify a thriving model? Could you share some examples and let us know what makes these ecosystems uniquely successful?
Yeah, there are tech ecosystems that are a great model for us to follow. They create something that the companies could not do on their own. And really a tech ecosystem is needed anytime there's a platform or anytime solutions need to be used together by an end user. There's very few out there that can provide the entire stack. And so you have to turn to an ecosystem to get that. One of them that stands out to me, and probably because I was closely involved with it for a lot of years, is Intel's Network Builders ecosystem. So they brought everything from the underlying silicon and technology and brought partners in to provide the uh, the hardware systems, the operating systems, the different applications and solutions. So we had ISVs, we had OEMs, we had systems integrators in there that were pulling it all together and interfacing with customers. We even had end users that were part of this ecosystem that could feed in and say, hey, these are the things we're really looking for. Now, this ecosystem was very successful in that it was around as we started making the transition in the network into going from the traditional hardware-based closed ecosystem into an open software-based virtual ecosystem. And with that, Intel moved into about, I don't know, 40% market share in that time. And a lot of that was largely thanks to this ecosystem that we were able to build. And we really were able to help transition the entire industry. And so that's one I look at as one that was very successful. It brought a lot of value both to Intel that kind of set it up, but also to all the partners within there. And so that's one that I look at as a great success.
Thank you, Ryan. This example actually highlights how a combination of innovation, collaboration, and strategic focus makes these tech ecosystems truly stand out. Valerie, now shifting gears to partnership strategies, what would you say are the most effective strategies for attracting partners to a growing tech ecosystem?
So I really believe that air cover and support, especially when you're building a brand new tech ecosystem or platform, is really critical to the success of the company. I believe that providing air cover and support to a brand new tech ecosystem is really critical for the success of that. If you're a company who's taking a risk on this new platform, you never want it to be any kind of question whether or not you made the right decision. One example in the smart home I think was really strong is Google Home. So when Google Home announced their platform, they made a big effort to show their commitment, both by doing advertising, by doing marketing, and physically supporting the companies in the booth. For example, at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, which is a big platform for consumer electronics, Google, they wrapped the monorail, they put gigantic billboards, they had signs all over and big pavilions showing the potential of smart home with Google Home. And they even put Google trained representative in every small and medium and large smart home customer's booth. They were dressed in a very distinctive outfit, and they were there specifically to show their support from Google for this small company and to answer any specific questions about the Google Home ecosystem so that that company could focus on selling their product and demonstrating their product. So I really think that taking that support burden off of the company to explain why they're part of the ecosystem and taking that on as the company supporting the ecosystem is really critical to its success.
Great points, Valerie. Your example of Google Home really emphasizes how consistent promotion, visible commitment, and direct support create a win-win for partners and the ecosystem itself. Ryan, when you're building an ecosystem, identifying and targeting right partners can be challenging. What approach do you take to ensure that partners align well with the ecosystem goals?
And determining which partners to involve is a key decision when you're creating an ecosystem or a partnership. And so a few of the things you want to think about is what are the areas that an end user would need when they're purchasing your product or service, and what partners are offering those things that you can help fill in those gaps. And so those are the ones you're going to want to target. Now, a couple ways of doing this, you can look out at, okay, who are the top people providing this in the industry? And can you go and get them involved? You want the big players, right? But then at the same time, you also want to think about who are those quote unquote rabbits that can really make some very swift things and look to disrupt the industry. So you want to pull in some of those disruptors, which may be small companies, startups, and you want a good mix. You want to look at the types of companies. Do you need just software? Do you need hardware? Do you need services and all those different things? And so you want to, as you're creating your ecosystem, you want a good mix, because you want it to address the needs of the market that you're going after. And so having a good mix, again, of big players and those disruptors and startups, and the different types of companies are important. And so depending again on what your solution or your product is, you're going to go out and again fill in all those gaps to make that complete ecosystem, because ultimately we want to create a better experience and result for the customer. That's really what we are trying to do with these ecosystems. And so that doing that, looking at that strategically, and then a little more tactically, you need to look at who's willing to work with you. That's a big thing, because you may have a perfect partner, but if they're not willing to talk to you or work with you or do things differently, then find somebody else. And so that's when you get into kind of from a strategic view and then a more tactical point of view. So that's the way I would go about creating or identifying those right partners to work with me in my ecosystem.
Thanks, Ryan. That's a solid approach to ensure partners are not only aligned with the ecosystem's vision, but also add meaningful value to its growth and innovation. Moving to metrics and measurements, Ryan, what are some of the challenges in gathering reliable data to measure the health of the ecosystem? And how can these challenges be overcome?
Yeah, that is a great question, and one that at times we've struggled with, to be honest. So the easy way to measure the success of a product or a solution you're selling is how much revenue are you creating? Now, with an ecosystem, that becomes a lot more difficult, especially, if I look at it as an example for what we've struggled with in the past is at Intel, we provided the underlying silicon. Now, this goes out and is sold to maybe a distributor who then sells it to an OEM. And so we see the sale happening way over here when in all actuality, maybe it's a partner, a software vendor that we're working with or a systems integrator that's actually engaging with the end customer, and then they're buying their parts from an OEM over here. And so that the ultimate end user sale was influenced by a different company over here that we had no visibility at all into. And so it creates this challenge so that we can really see where should we be spending our efforts and our time, which partners are really making a difference and pulling all of our products into the end user. That's that ultimate sale. And so you really kind of have to look at that and try and figure out how to measure the real impact so that, again, those partners that are most influential in bringing your solution into the end user, that you're spending your time and your resources with them. And so that can be a challenge. And there's a few things that we did to try and get around that. One, we had partners share with us their sales pipeline so that we could have visibility into what was happening and be able to support them in that. We'd also have things, a little easier to measure. Things like, are they logging into the portal? Are they taking trainings? Are they using some of the co-marketing? Are they enabling their solutions? And, all those kind of things kind of build up to that. But really, we want to get to that end result is, where's the money coming from, right? And that can be challenging, but that's one of the things that we did to address that and overcome that. And then there's all those other metrics, the trainings done, the solutions developed, the activities that happen all throughout. And those things are important to see that it's a valuable ecosystem, but those things can be they're really more secondary to that ultimate revenue. Who's really driving that revenue engagement with the customer?
Thank you, Ryan. That was an insightful look into the challenges of collecting data and the strategies to address them. It's clear that having a reliable metric is key to driving meaningful improvements. Valerie, once the data is gathered, there's often a need to balance hard metrics with soft qualitative insights. How do you approach this balance to get a complete picture of ecosystem health?
Yeah, there's no doubt that the financial metrics are really important, and it's very important to come up with those tangible metrics for success. But there's also the qualitative side and the things that are really hard to measure objectively like that. For me, I can always tell the health of an ecosystem if I go to an in-person event and listen to the partners, the developers, the members of the ecosystem, listen to them talk, ask them what they're feeling, listen to how they talk to each other and their body language. Sometimes you go to one of these events, and even if the sales look good, you can tell if there's low energy and people are really just there for the free food and drinks. another example of this where in my personal experience working a good example for me is Peloton and the Peloton community. Now, Peloton's been in the news and they've had some pretty grim sales statistics and a lot of turmoil in the company. But as a user, I can see these intangible things. I can see the social media presence. I can see these huge communities on things like Reddit and Instagram and Facebook. And I feel confident as a customer that that community is going to continue no matter the financial success of the company. So you really need to kind of balance those technical and financial metrics with the feeling and the enthusiasm of the community and the partners.
That's a great perspective, Valerie, particularly the Peloton example. That's striking. It shows how user enthusiasm and community engagement can provide critical insights into an ecosystem's health when the numbers don't tell the full story. So thank you both, Ryan and Valerie, for such a thought-provoking discussion. It's been wonderful to learn from your experiences and insights. Thank you to our audience for joining us. Please let us know in the comment section if you have any questions or comments. Have a great day.